You mentioned Volpe. He showed up on Tuesday with a more closed batting stance, and everyone was like, "Oh, couple doubles, couple line drives. He's fixed. What's going on here?"
Middle of the field approach.
Apparently, he was hanging out with his buddy Austin Wells. They were eating some chicken parm and some gabagool, looking at some tape, and boom, they noticed, "Hey, your stance has changed, ababoa." And that's what happened. No Yankees coaches, no one in the minors who was looking at anything was like, you know what, his mechanics at the plate look a little bit different. His stance is a little bit more open. Maybe we should change that, move him closer to the plate. None of that happened.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things here. I mean, yes, you should be. If that is the first time that is discussed, the first time it's being identified, then that's bad. That's a bad thing. On how many hitting coaches do we have now? 19 hitting coaches. So the fact that they're not picking this stuff up and at least discussing it is, I don't know. What are you doing then? Literally, what are you doing? What are you looking at if you're not seeing those things? If it's a discussion that he had with Austin Wells, who's just a former teammate, a guy that is calling stuff out for him, a buddy trying to help out his pal, like, hey, you might be a little bit more closed. When I see Volpe still up there, yes, he's closed. He looked more comfortable. Even if you look at the last two at-bats that he had, he's still, that first step is still going towards, it's drifting towards third base a little bit. So I think he's still flying open. He got exposed on a breaking pitch on the outside of the plate. For that strike. It was a bad at bat with it was in extras, I think. When he was up, it was a bad at bat, and he got exposed on the outside of the plate badly. And you could just see his hips were flying open. And yes, his stance was more closed. But if that first step is drifting towards third and your hips are flying open early, then you have no chance at that off-speed pitch on the outside corner. And that's where they've been just demolishing him. He's got to prove the fact that he can still get to that outside pitch and take it the other way and stay closed. We were having this discussion in chat. I think the hardest thing for a young player who comes up and does have a naturally closed stance is the confidence level for them to be able to turn on an inside fastball. And if they start getting away from the confidence that they can get their hands in through the zone without moving their lower body as much, because that's exactly what you have to do. If they start getting a little mental and saying, hey, I gotta cheat out a little bit, cheat my hips out so that I can get on the inside fastball, then you're exposed on the outside of the plate immediately. And I guarantee that's what they're looking at. They're looking at a guy who has developed, I think over the last month and a half, a tendency to drift towards third, to open those hips up a little bit. And that exposes you and leaves you open for pain on the outside of the plate.
And put aside the fact that he had a more closed stance in the minors, the fact that the current Yankees coaches could not have evaluated him at the major league level, seeing that he was flying open too much, and just tried to make an adjustment to close the stance, even if he never had that previously, is kind of bad.
Yeah, it's I was making light of this a little bit in our chat because this is the first thing you go to for a young guy who's struggling. A lot of times they will open up too early because they're trying to cheat for that inside fastball. They're trying to get the hands through, and then they get into some bad tendencies. So it's like number one, you go down the list, the number one before you even get to number two is stay closed and keep your hands in on your body. And so it's 101 as far as being a hitting coach. So yeah, the fact that they didn't even discuss it or bring it up is wild. Even if it's just a reminder, they should be giving this guy gentle reminders. I understand that you don't want to give him too much information with a young guy to think too much, because he will. But this isn't that much. This is basic shit. Just remind yourself, stay close. Even if it's you give yourself some type of a trigger word, stay close, stay close, stay close. There are guys that say things to themselves over and over and over and over again. I have to do this in slow pitch softball because I fly open the entire time because it's painful to wait for the ball to come to me. I have to yell at myself in my head, stay close, wait until the ball travels so that I can actually hit the ball with some decent oomph. And
yeah, you're the same as a professional athlete.
Exactly the same as a professional athlete.
But okay, it's not the coaches. How about Giancarlo Stanton, veteran leader on the team,
who
had to
had
to create this exaggerated close stance to remind himself to stay close. How about take the kid aside for a couple minutes and be like, hey, maybe this is something you want to keep in mind.
Where's Derek Jeter? Why can't Derek Jeter send him a text message? You can see that immediately.
I'm not putting
Jeter's
this on
identifying
Jeter.
that immediately.
All I'm saying is it blows me away that all the teammates, all of the coaches, even minor league coaches couldn't have identified this before he was watching tape with Austin Wells and noticed this.